What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Hops Geek News, a podcast that talks about comic books, movies, TV shows, and you know it, we got a beer of the week most weeks. Now, of course, because the strike is not yet finished, we have been kind of dialing back on the movies. We've been dialing back on the TV shows a bit, but rest assured, as soon as the strike ends and these actors and actresses get their fair wages and also the whole AI stuff gets rewritten out, hopefully we'll be back to talking about all sorts of fun movies and TV shows. We have a lot of stuff in the pipe. So
We're
that
finding
said,
loopholes here and there.
we're working on things. So, we're doing some deep diving to characters. We're talking about comic books more because this is a really great time for comic books. So, with that said, we are actually going to be diving into Monica Rambeau, aka Lieutenant Trouble, and maybe a little bit of deep dive for some of you out there. But Monica Rambeau is in the newest movie, The Marvels. She also was in, of course, WandaVision. And
One division,
she debuted
one
as a child
division.
in the first Captain Marvel film. So we'll dive into her, give you a little bit of background if you're kind of just looking into figuring out who this character is. First things first, though, find us in Hops Geek News, any podcasting platform, any social media platform. That's where we reside. Find us on Discord. We got a fun watch along. We're going to start doing some watch alongs with movies coming up. Really great
Tenacious
time.
D is our next one.
That's right. Tenacious D and the Pick of Destiny on the 18th of November. That's going to be a really good time. Have some beers, hang out, maybe have some apple juice, whatever you're into. We're going to hang out, get together on the Discord, figure that out. And then, as always, support the show. Patreon.com/HopsGeekNews is where we can be found. My beer of the week is from Lady Justice Brewing Company. It is called the Sandra Day IPA. It's with notes of tropical and stone fruits, named in honor of the first female Supreme Court justice. Great beer, better world. Now, I chose this, of course, because we're talking about Monica Rambeau. We're talking a little bit about the Marvels, and not to mention
Girl
election
power
day.
episode.
It is. This is a girl power episode, and not to mention the elections have just recently passed. And guess what, folks? If you're in the state of Virginia like I am, we saved women's rights for the time being,
That's
at
awesome.
least. And so it's a good reason to celebrate. Lauren, what beer are you drinking over there?
Well, I'm in Florida, so I'm
Women's
drinking a beer
rights.
from Dream
Are you
State
allowed to be up
Brewing.
this late?
Yeah, right. Yeah, this is from Dream State Brewing. You have that beer, and when you sent it, I thought about opening that one, but I'm been waiting to take a picture with my Sandra Day O'Connor book because I fell in love with her when I was in law school, and I read her book,
Yeah.
and I just thought it was so amazing to read the story of this woman who was top of her class in law school, and then could only get a job as a legal secretary. And yeah, and so whenever I think of her, there's a poem. I don't know if I've said it before. The toast to Potter Stewart: his chivalry can't be beat. The first Supreme Court justice to give a lady his seat because he retired and Sandra Day O'Connor
Oh,
took
very
his
cool.
seat. So it's a cute little poem, although he didn't give her the seat. She fucking earned it, but that's neither here nor there. Neither here nor there. So this is Dream State Brewing. This is out of Fort Lauderdale. It's just outside of downtown. They took over Kaufner Brewing. Everything I've had from this brewery so far has been delicious. I haven't been there since they switched it from Kaufner. This one's a New England double. It's called Master Puppeteer, and it is 8%. And it's got some space vibes on it. So I thought it was kind of cool, especially because we saw Monica in a spacesuit in the trailer, or maybe actually even in
Girl,
WandaVision, she
I'm
was
gonna
in
give
the
you one
spacesuit.
more. This
Go
the,
for
the
it.
first Captain Marvel movie came out in the 90s when another band who produced Master of Puppets, Metallica. So
Metallica.
there you go. Deep cuts all over the place.
I love it. And I'm
And it's
sure it didn't
rad.
it is really cool. Yeah. It is awesome. And it's got the little hop on there with the Earth and the moon and Saturn and the stars. And what we, learned from doing this deep dive too is some of her powers that go through the multiverse and stuff. So I'm very excited for this movie. I know we're not really supposed to talk to the movie, but I've been
I
excited
am
since I
too.
saw the trailer. I think it looks awesome. And I got it in my three Spidey glass because, you got the three Marvels, and I got my three Marvel Legos here that aren't really mine. I sold them for my kids to post a picture.
I have
And
a
that's what I'm
Storm
drinking.
Storm Marvel Lego Storm Lego right here. That's what I
Ooh,
kind of. So you know what? There's lots to be excited about. Yeah, that can's cool, and the Marvels. I'm pretty excited too. I know there's a lot of
very,
discourse
very
online.
good.
It's out now, obviously, and I don't know if we've had the chance to see it yet because we've just had busy lives happening. For example, my parents are coming into town,
Kids.
and kids and life, man. So we'll see it and we'll talk about it at some point. However, if this is also your first time into the show and you're still sticking around with us, we like to talk about what we've messed up on. We like to talk about what we've been reading or watching. We dive into some of that news. And then, of course, our main topic. We continue flawless unless Tim just hasn't been listening because I know Sean probably hasn't been listening. Otherwise, he would have been calling us out too. And
I know Tim listened to the episode where I called him out about the word processor.
Aha, maybe Tim
because he
silently
texted
sits
me.
back in his lair and he's like, I'm just waiting for my
He's
perfect
like,
time.
I did know you were going to mention me before you mentioned me.
He's got like spidey senses, man. Shout
Well,
out to
just I
Tim.
hear word processor and I think it's Tim because I never knew anybody who had a word processor until I met Tim.
It's fair. Yeah.
That was
Well,
a Generation X.
I always think of D-Generation X. Suck it. Oh, D-Generation X. Yeah, what? No. Triple H. X-Pac. Wrestling. All right.
No, yeah,
Anyways, Lauren,
I
what have
don't
you
know
been
that.
reading or watching?
I don't know what I've been reading or watching. I do know, excuse me. So the comic book I reviewed this week for Nerd Initiative was Count Crowley, Mediocre Monster Hunter. Obviously, I heard Crowley and Monster Hunter, and I immediately was like, hey, I'll take that one. I think I actually stole it from you. And
You did.
what I
You did.
didn't know though when I stole it, did you know that this is the third series to this Count Crowley series?
No, I just was picking it for Supernatural.
Uh-huh,
That's
look
why
at
you were
you. I
picking
should have
it
let you
too. I
have
knew.
it.
Haha.
So it is. So there was 8 issues before this, 2 different runs, and it was like Count Crowley. What? You have your hand up.
Breaking news as we record this. SAG-AFTRA and the studios have officially reached a tentative deal on a new 3-year contract.
Shut the front door.
They did it. They did it. They've reached a deal, folks.
It's
The strike
tentative.
appeared.
So
It's
that's
tentative. So it's not official. And hopefully
whew.
by the time you're listening to this, it is official. But as we speak, 8 minutes ago, breaking news, SAG-AFTRA and the studios have officially reached a tentative deal. Let's go. Let's good news. That's awesome.
So next week we will be doing our the Marvels
There it
review.
is. There it is.
Oh,
You heard it here.
and Loki's about to finish and Gen V. Like there's
So
so
we're about
much to
to
talk
wrap
about. We haven't even
all
talked
three
about
of those.
Ahsoka. And we were talking all this. We
Well,
were
next
gonna
week's
talk about
episode
Ahsoka.
is Loki and the
Next week's episode
Marvels
will be 10 hours long, and
because
we will be
Loki's
talking
finale is
about
tomorrow.
everything.
Yes. Anyways, sorry to interrupt. Continue.
Yeah, so Count Crowley, Mediocre Monster Hunter. There was an Amateur Monster Hunter before, and I forget what the other one was. Each only 4 issues. This is the third. But the writer is David Dastmalchian. So
Yes.
the guy from
Yes.
Ant-Man, the guy from not Justice League, from
He's a
Suicide
big-time comic
Squad.
book writer
Yeah.
lately. He's killing it.
Yeah. So it was a lot of fun. At first, I was a little confused, but they quickly like catch you up at the beginning. Because what's fun about it is you almost have like a crypt keeper kind of host, and it's just like this head, and they tell you about this woman who has become she's taken the cape of Count Crowley, and so she has to fight these monsters. And it's obviously I got supernatural vibes from it, and it's funny because it starts with this guy who is her predecessor comes in and he's killing this werewolf, and he's like, you didn't do your job properly, I'm having to come in and kill this werewolf. And she's like, why did you do that? He was such a good person because he actually saved her life from a vampire, and he was her AA sponsor. And he's like, he's not human, he's a monster, and monsters are monsters. And it's that, black and white versus that gray, like, the humans who don't actually have humanity and the monsters who do. And I'm a sucker for supernatural stuff, and I'm a sucker for those kind of storylines. I love, like Benny is one of my favorite characters in Supernatural. So I really liked it. I will definitely be grabbing it next month from you as well, to review it. And I'll probably even go back and read the other ones eventually. There's just so much good stuff out there. So that was what I reviewed. If you want my full review, that is on Nerd Initiative. And then I flew to New York and New Jersey this weekend. Well, flew to New Jersey. And so I caught up on stuff on the plane, read some Good Omens, and I caught up on Wolverine, which my Wolverine run that I've been reading, it's on like issue 37 or 38 or something. It's by Ben Piercy. So I've been reading it for a few years now. And we just talked about Wendigos, and there was actually an issue, and I already posted on there of a Wolverine Wendigo. So what happened was
Bigfoot. My bad.
No, it was a Wendigo because it actually says in there. So, obviously Wolverine's familiar with the Wendigo because that was in the first issue he showed up, and we talked about that on our Cryptids episode. But Beast had created a bunch of clones of Wolverine, and Wolverine was going out, or Logan was going out and finding all these clones and killing them, and they were all very different. Like one was very primitive, but nice, and then one was just savage, and then this one went to the Howlett Manor in Canada. So because it has some of his memories too, so it's going to places he's familiar with. Like one went to Japan, the one went to Madripoor, this one had gone back to the Howlett Manor, and there he noticed that this Wolverine was eating people, and he's like, oh, if he's eating people, that means he's been cursed by the Wendigo. And then all of a sudden, the giant Wolverine Wendigo comes out. So that was pretty cool. Did read Wolverine versus Predator. We'll have to talk about that one day. Caught up on the Cull and Miss Marvel, and I watched Invincible is out. The Miss Marvel run is only 3 issues in. It's the one that Kamala Khan. That's not her real
I
name.
always want to say that too. I don't know why. Like for some reason.
Iman Vanelli.
Yes.
So it's being written by her. Well, she is Kamala Khan. Let's face it, she is. So it's the one. I feel like it's geared more towards a little bit younger audience, but not necessarily kids, because Miss Marvel's in college and she's like becoming one of the X-Men, so she's balancing all that. And Bruno's in it a lot. And then the Cull. This issue of the Cull was really good. I think it's only 3 issues in. Aren't you reading that one?
I haven't read that one. No, I haven't read. I'm not up to date yet at all.
Okay. I did read another issue, Something's Killing the Children. I tried to buy the 4th volume at Jay and Silent Bob's Secret Stash, and they didn't have it. Neither did my comic book shop.
Yeah, tell us about that. You went to Jay and Silent Bob's Secret Stash this weekend. How was that?
It was so cool. So it was an hour away from the wedding we had to do in Jersey. So we were trying to, we had this wedding in Jersey for my husband's work friends. So I was trying to make the most of it. We went down a day early, saw Back to the Future on Broadway. Back to the Future was amazing. It was so freaking good. I cannot, turning these 80s movies into Broadway musicals has just been genius. Beetlejuice was amazing. The mechanics of this, like the DeLorean was in it, and what they were doing with the DeLorean was amazing. On
stage?
I don't know.
Was it like a legit DeLorean?
I don't think it was a legit one, but it looked like a DeLorean from where I was sitting, and we had decent seats. But I mean, they had the whole, it's not like a show that looks like it could travel, because then they had like things all on the sides.
Right.
And it was so good, and it was funny, and the songs were great. And the guy who plays Doc is like a legit famous actor. I don't remember what his name is now, but if you get a chance to see that, highly recommend it. It was great. They even managed to get, at one point, Doc came out on a hoverboard, but not like from the movie, like the stupid ones they're claiming are hoverboards that aren't really hoverboards. So I thought that was really funny. So then, so before we had to get on the plane after the wedding brunch, we drove an hour to Secret Stash. It's a regular comic book shop, but it's kind of like a Kevin Smith museum as well. So there's stuff everywhere from the movies. They had a green sweater that Stan Lee wore to a Comic-Con. So cool. They had like the walrus thing. They had a little area that you could like pray to Buddy Christ. They had little like Jay and Silent Bob Funko Pops next to like an I Assure You Were Open. A ton of toys, a ton of actual comic books. And they had a bunch of things that were signed by everybody, by him, Rosario Dawson, the Clerks. So it was really cool. And they were selling all the DVDs signed. And it was fun. They had hats. Sure. I got a hat, and I got You and I Buddy Christ stickers. But it was a $30 baseball hat. So
that's really $30.
I had to leave it at that.
Yeah.
I wanted to get something. Like, when am I going to get to
I would do the same. Like, my goal is to go up there, and I know I would shell out money too. So I can't even blame you.
Your Movies hat was there.
Oh, yeah. See, I already got something. See, I got something already. We're good.
So then 15 minutes away, there was Quick Stop. Oh, yeah, which was way cooler. I thought it was just going to be like, oh, it's Quick Stop. For one, they're literally across the street from people. Like, people live across the street. And 2, they have stuff. I mean, we bought a lotto ticket
across the street. You're like, oh, Janet, that fat silent guy's across the street again filming another movie.
And it's the exact same one as the last one. It looks like.
Are you sure? Yeah, they're literally filming the same movie. We've been watching them film since 1996.
94.
Oh, that's what it was. Yeah, it was 94. That's right.
But they had like a thing on the outside with Jay, and I did post, if you're curious to see what it looks like, I did post a video on our TikTok about Quick Stop, and I will post about the Jay and Silent Bob Secret Stash, because I took video there too. But they're selling Clerks memorabilia inside. There's a sign outside with Jay, a cartoon Jay, saying I Assure You Were Open, and they're selling the Movies seltzer, which they were selling that I think at the comic book shop too. Yeah, but I think it's cannabis seltzer. But it's in the movie. You could see it in the background.
Yeah.
And we asked Brian and Jeff about it when we interviewed them. That's and they're like, we didn't drink that.
No big deal. Our friend Brian O'Halloran. No big deal.
We're on a first name basis.
You went to, look, we're on a first name basis. No big deal. They opened a beer with Lauren's dirty shoe. So
that's so cool. And then when the shoe broke and I tagged Brian, he wrote RIP, bottle opener flip flop.
May he be at MegaCon this year so we can run this baby back.
Oh, they really haven't announced much. But and I watched Invincible between the ceremony of the wedding and the reception of the wedding.
That's smart. That's amazing.
There was hours in between.
Some people would watch football, some people watch basketball, but Lauren's like, fuck that. Give me Invincible.
It's the middle of the day of Saturday. We had an hour to kill, and Josh went to take a nap. And so I laid down in my dress and took off
Really?
my heels and
They
watched.
like actually pause things for an hour. There was no like cocktail hour or anything like that.
It was an all day of, it was an all weekend event.
All
It was actually an
day.
amazing wedding. They spared no expense, but they had at 12:30, there was like finger foods at the pub. So I got an Irish coffee and then a Guinness. And then they went to the church. They had a church wedding for the parents, basically, at like 2:15. And then the cocktail hour was until 6. And then the wedding was at
Oh,
7:30.
I
And
don't
then the
have
after
the patience
party.
for any of this. I don't like guys, we wedding culture is disgusting. Like there is no reason first of all we should spend 20 plus $1,000 on a day for everybody else's happiness and yours is nothing but stress for one. For
My
two,
wedding, our wedding was so fun.
mine was $300. I went to the courthouse. I don't regret a fucking thing. Because it's just like everyone's staring at you. It's stressful, and then stuff like that, like all day. My brothers in Christ, don't you guys want to go back to like the hotel room and get your freak on as
They
married
probably
couple
did in
again?
between, I would
I
guess.
mean, I'm
Well,
sure,
what
but like, God,
Josh and I did, tell any relatives watching. So we got married on the beach and then we had the reception on the boat. But like I had my dress went down to my knees. So as soon as the wedding ended, we went up to the room, consummated the marriage, and then we went to 24-hour pizza with everybody
as
on
you
the
do,
beach.
like, there you
Yeah.
go. But you didn't need to drag
Josh
it
had
out
no
all day.
patience.
God,
No.
who am I to judge? Jeez. Anyways,
There you go.
I have been reading or watching. Thank you, everybody out there. The kids are now mortified and they're like, "What does consummate mean, Mom?" If there were kids
That's
watching, we got.
last week what we were talking about with the soup juice, that was nothing.
Oh,
That's why these
okay.
episodes are
Fun
rated
story about this.
TVMA
So I was actually
or
listening to that
explicit
episode in the car on the way to work, and
with the kids.
Harper was in the back seat. I totally forgot about that. And all of a sudden, we say what we said, and she's like, "What's that mean?" I was like, "Nothing."
Oh geez.
Oh gosh. So yes, yes. But I have been reading or watching some things. So I've been playing Spider-Man. I did beat Spider-Man. Very good game, very well done. A lot of people are like, it's too short. It's not, man. Just like take your time with the game. You guys have no lives. Get a freaking life. Uh, Granted, I don't have a life, but it took me a little bit, and that was a lot of fun, man. The Venom storyline, Craven was great. Miles is great. It's set up, Spider-Man 3. It's set up with some DLC content potentially with Carnage, so that's really cool. And then I read this week. I read Enfield Gang issue number 4 for Nerd Initiative by Jacob Phillips and Chris Condon. This is pretty much bringing westerns back, man. Like it's really cool because
Who needs sexy when you have
it's
westerns?
a good old school western. It's bloody in the use of their colors to enunciate the blood and the mood and the somberness. Like it's a very good comic book. I hope people check that out because westerns are kind of making a comeback. And then I also joint reviewed Punisher issue number 1 from Dave Watchter and David Pepose. That was fantastic. Absolutely amazing. Joe Garrison makes his appearance and kicks some serious ass. I really love what they did with Punisher's kind of because like last year or 2 years, whenever the discourse about like they changed the Punisher's look because of the Proud Boys and all these lame ass people who want to cosplay as badasses out there that really just are trash human beings, took over the Punisher symbol, so they changed the Punisher symbol. But now the way that like and they like it's like lights at the top of his chest, and then his belt kind of makes a skull, so it's not like a blatant skull, but it's a skull nonetheless, and it's really
Such a
really
shame
cool.
because it looked so cool
It
before.
is like, and you got these stupid terrible cops that are out there even taking over, and it's dumb, but they did a really good job of kind of re-bringing back that skull that we know and associate the Punisher with.
Nice.
And there is a villain that has superpowers that makes an appearance. I don't want to spoil it quite yet for anybody who hasn't checked it out. That was really cool, and it's a really badass comic book, man. He's a former Shield agent whose cover was blown, and that kind of gets his family killed, and that goes from there. So
Oh.
yeah, great run getting set up there.
Oh, and then you have no trust for Shield anymore if they can't keep your
Yeah,
family safe.
yeah. It's there's gonna be a
Oof.
lot of man. David Pepose is having himself a year. If you've familiar with him, he's
Nice.
got Moon Knight, City of God. He's
I
got
need to read the Moon Knight one. He did
Savage
Savage
Avengers. He's
Avengers.
been on the
He
show.
did Darth Vader, one of the
Yep,
red, white,
he's
and
Darth
blood.
Vader, and yeah, he's having himself a year. Phenomenal writer. I implore everybody to go there and check and pick this up. I also picked up Wolverine versus Predator issue number 2. I really
That's
like
pretty
what
good.
they're
I like
yeah,
that.
I like what they're doing with this series.
Yeah.
It's when it first came out, again, we always say it's like, how does Wolverine lose? But it's kind of like a gang of predators that are stalking their prey, and they're really leaning into like the invisibility aspect of the predator suits. And Sabretooth gets his ass beat even, and they kind of like Wolverine loses his memory. He doesn't know what they are, or who they are, or anything like
Well,
that.
that's a constant with him.
Well, yeah, Weapon
Part
X.
of it is
Why?
it's Weapon X, and part of it is his regenerative ability. Sometimes they
Yeah,
block out bad memories.
he's getting his butt kicked, and it shows a really cool human side to it in this issue of Wolverine, but also like just the raw ruthlessness of the Predator themselves. And that's
Yeah.
definitely, Ben Percy. That's one comic book you guys should also be picking up monthly every time it drops.
Should try to get him
I
on. He was so nice at
We should.
MegaCon.
We
If you
should.
had been with me, you would have been like, "You should come on." And he'd be like, "Okay."
I would have. I'll
It was
I'll I'll work some magic.
$5 for a picture and an autograph.
I'll work some magic. Just wait. MegaCon in February. We're gonna work some magic.
Hopefully he comes again.
Transformers issue number 2 is out from Daniel Warren Johnson. That's pretty cool. There's a really brutal scene. It's not really a spoiler, but the issue opens up with Optimus Prime accidentally stepping on a deer. And I was like, dude,
Ugh.
absolutely savage, because he's not used to Earth. He's like, I didn't realize things are so fragile. On my planet, everything's metal. And, all this, the Earth doesn't move. There's no, all this kind of stuff. So he doesn't realize. And so it's kind of the Autobots come into terms with the fact that they're not at their planet. They accidentally brought this war to Earth. And there's some really cool callbacks in there. So we get the last name of a character named Witwicky, if you're familiar with Transformers at all. And then also they're setting up for the G.I. Joe comic book. You get Duke. His introduction is in this comic as well. So it's a fantastic run. Check that out as well. I also read What If Dark. It's the Tomb of Dracula. Basically, it's Dracula is hunting this person. He fails to kill him, but he finds this woman, and it's the classic tale of he bites this woman. The woman just gave birth to Blade. He has some half human, half vampire, and he basically is a cat and mouse game with Blade. He ends up biting Blade, and Blade is fighting against turning full vampire. And so at the end of this issue, you see Blade going toe to toe with Dracula, and they both end up dying. It's just a one-off comic, so it's like this is a kind of a new series they're doing with Marvel. It's a What If series, which is pretty cool. It's This one is about Blade and Dracula. I highly recommend giving that a read. Other than that, I haven't picked up. I have a couple things picked up. Darth Vader issue 40, Life Day. I haven't read that yet. And then Marvel
Oh, is that the Life
Zombies.
Day variant cover?
Yes.
Oh, that's when I did an article for Attractions Magazine. I want to get some of those. Those are really cool covers.
Yeah, the cover is really. It's got Shmi Skywalker and little Annie on there,
Mm.
and so I picked that up today. I haven't read it yet. I'm actually behind on the Darth Vader series, anyways.
I've been
And
reading them in volumes, but I might have to get that one
yeah,
just for the
that's
Life
the one
Day.
comic like I've collected all 40 issues for. Surprisingly, it's one of the few runs that I've stayed true to since its inception. And I also picked up Marvel Zombies Red, White, and Blood issue number 1. Haven't read that yet either. Um, just another anthology about Red, White, and Blood. If you're familiar with those series, I have watched the first 3 episodes of Gen V. Finally, got onto
Yay.
that. I like it, of course. It's Gen
You
V,
didn't see
man.
the cameo yet, did you?
No, not
That
there
might
on
be
the
4.
cameo.
I
I
think
fell
it's 4.
asleep. Yeah, I'm old. I fell asleep. Digging it though, and then I watched Loki. I'm all caught up on Loki as of
Episode
haven't
5
obviously
was
the final
good.
hasn't finale hasn't come out when we're recording this, but I'm all up through episode 5. I like it. Loki is very much seemingly the center point of the MCU now and going forward,
Yeah,
which
I'm
is pretty
wondering about
cool.
that.
But we're going to dive into Loki, like I said, now that it seems the strike's going to end. So we'll dive into Loki along with the Marvels because they're kind of going hand in hand with the 2 latest Marvel releases right now. And what else did I watch? Did I catch up on anything else? Oh, Goosebumps. I'm all caught up on Goosebumps through 8 episodes so far. Really enjoying that. I hope there's a season 2. Justin Long he's such a funny character because he's playing 2 characters, and the way he just seamlessly transitions between the 2. There's scenes where he has to beat himself up. Of course, the one thing I do wish we can get away from in Goosebumps is like everybody just reverts to Slappy being the ultimate villain, which okay, first season, I'm cool with that, but I hope they really kind of lean into some Goosebumps lore and give me some of the weirder stuff next season, if there is a next season, which I hope there is. And haven't played or done anything else besides go to Field Days by Precarious Brewing this past weekend. that was probably the best well-ran beer festival I've ever gone to. 50, or it was actually $40, $45 because I'm a member. And so you get a wristband, you get a glass. It's like a whiskey, it's a
This is
weighted whiskey
adorable
glass.
glass. This is
Yeah,
all ocean themed.
it's weighted too, which is really cool. Like it's one of those
Nice.
really, like, it would be $20 whiskey glass in stores for something like this. And then it's unlimited pours on top of that. And everybody's
Which
under the
all beer
tent.
festivals should be.
Yeah, I'm not, Idaho wasn't a thing. Like you have
I've
to
never
get
been to one that
tokens.
wasn't. When you
It's
told me
crazy.
the token thing, that blew my mind.
Yeah, it's weird. So it's unlimited pours. There's some really great breweries there, some standouts for me. So the sour, aka the really the beer of the day for me was Tin Barn Brewing out of Chester, New York. They had the sour that just was a phenomenal, amazing. Shout out to my friend JT. He was kind of the unofficial videographer now for Hops Geek News. He was getting some good footage. He's the one who
Bringing
did
him
the
down for
YouTube.
MegaCon.
Honestly, if any Comic Cons he wants to go to, I'm gonna start throwing him on the press passes because he's got the whole setup. So I was like, dude, here you go, man.
The video is
Awesome.
great too. If anybody wants to see it, head to our YouTube. And you
Yeah,
can just see you progressively get happier and
you
happier.
can
And then you're
see.
holding that hamburger and it's like pure bliss.
Yes, I get to that in a minute. But I, man, Tin Barn, great beer. And then shout out to Chris from Tin Barn. He was pouring for them. He actually brought me a can of that beer, like one of their last ones, because he's just a saint and it was delicious. I shared it with my friends, even though I really wanted to take it home and have it for myself, but I shared. And really just great beer festival. Precarious Beer Project out of Williamsburg. People go there. I'm not going to drone on any longer, other than the fact that, yes, I got progressively drunker and drunker. And then I broke my rules of not really eating and not really drinking water. And Carrie picked me up, and then I got home and I threw up and I passed out like naked, and it was just, it was just a mess.
Did she laugh at your drunk ass?
Oh yeah, she like, I don't even remember like going to sleep. Apparently, I got home, I made myself throw up because my stomach hurt, and then
Ugh,
apparently I didn't make it all in the toilet. Apparently, they got on
yikes.
her thankful rug.
Oh no. She's like, you know what? I'm not thankful for
uh,
you.
yes. And then like I got in the shower and I was just sitting because we have a seat in our shower, which is kind of cool. Like bougie, it's a big shower, has a seat. So I was just sitting there staring into nothingness. And then next thing you know, I'm waking up at 2 a.m. naked, and I'm like, what happened? It's just like,
That's
what
really
the,
funny.
it was a mess. I was a mess. I did not pace myself. I did not act appropriately. I
She was
didn't make a,
texting me on
yeah.
your birthday. She's like, Matt's so drunk already. He's already missed his mouth twice.
Yeah, it was a wild time, but it was a
I
good
love when
time.
she texts me. That's
Good
always
time.
funny.
It was a really good time. Everybody go to check out Precarious Beer Project. So enough of us going on about that. Let's go into some news real quick. Like I already said, it appears that we seemingly have a deal in place tentatively as of this moment. More to come. Also, some beer news. The Five Boroughs Brewing out of New York and Smutty Nose out of Portsmouth, New Hampshire have joined forces to create one epic brewery or something, I guess. They've joined forces. So, not surprising at a time when a lot of breweries are needing to really
Like,
downsize,
yeah, look at Dogfish
close.
and Sam
It's,
Adams.
yeah, it's hard out there. Aside from that, some Marvel news. Echo, we got a trailer for Echo. It's all episodes will premiere January 10th on Disney Plus.
All of them are coming out. Oh, that's right. This is their like
Yes,
experiment. Oh,
and it's the first Marvel show to be TVMA. And if you've watched the trailer, it's going to be pretty freaking brutal, man.
good.
Yeah,
Because
I'm pretty
Daredevil, I mean,
pumped.
yeah, we want the Netflix stuff. Like, I want to tell my kids, no, sorry, kids, you can't watch this till you're older.
Well, I think what Marvel should be doing, and I think is they've kind of gotten themselves into a rut of this generic superhero mold when they really could be doing different things, like different genres of superhero. So
I
what
think
if
we've gotten that a
it's,
little bit. Like Moon Knight and
yeah,
WandaVision are both
well,
very,
like do more of like WandaVision. That's kind of a genre
that was
show. It's like a very
amazing. It was a
sitcom type.
sitcom. Yeah.
Yes, but very serious tones, right?
Mhm.
So I think you could do something with Daredevil and Punisher where it's like a crime thriller. You could do Armor Wars, which could be like a political thriller. You
Just don't do
could,
the law stuff with Daredevil.
no, you can get really like Doctor Who-y maybe with the Fantastic Four. That could be something you could do, but like lean into some of the other
Doctor
genres.
Who.
Give me more, like Blade's going to be rated R. They announced Blade will be
Well,
officially
yeah, and then
rated
you have
R.
horror.
Yeah, so
Bring
Blade's going to
him,
be a
yeah,
horror
Blade
movie
versus
essentially.
Dracula.
Like there you go. Lean into that stuff. Like Werewolf by Night, that was on the cusp of
Oh my
horror.
God. But
Lean
see,
into that.
I have honestly loved everything they've done. There's nothing I've seen and been like, "Ugh, Marvel's really, shit the bed this time, or they've got nowhere else
No,
to go." I just feel like they, similar to Loki, there's too many branches right now,
no,
and they
that they've
need.
gone too cookie cutter. It's too much like a factory. Boom, boom,
But
boom,
one of
boom,
the
boom.
best things about Endgame was how beautifully they weaved it all together, and everything made sense. And I do still have faith, but I do also, it's the first time I've started to worry. But like, are we going to see Dane Whitman again? Like, what's going on with the
They've
Eternals? Like,
introduced, so like Shang-Chi was how many years ago now? Like they've
right.
introduced so many
Well, and
characters.
I want Jake Lockby from Moon Knight. Like, what the fudge?
Yeah,
I don't
like
know why I'm
by
trying
no
not to
means are
curse.
we one of those people that are like Marvel's doomed. Marvel, it's no, it's
Oh,
understanding
I
that
love it.
Marvel is very much like we are Marvel fans, but at the same time, it's like, hey, you got all these characters. Why not kind of
Maybe
let's get a
Deadpool do
little
it.
weird, man. Let's see what we can do genre wise. Like, give me political
We
thrillers,
got
give me horrors, give
mutants.
me yeah. Like, I mean, even if you do the
It's
X
just
Men, you can kind of do the X Men as a political thriller in a way because
100 or yeah.
really
Oh my gosh, yes.
they're hunting down mutants. So that could be like a
Mhm.
horror at the same in some aspects. And there's ways that we can go.
Get Sentinels. I mean, those are
Yes.
terrifying. Sentinels well then there weren't there like there was actually Tony Stark Sentinels
Yeah.
in the comics.
It's
We
there's so many things you can do. But aside from that, we got a Mean Girls. I guess it's going to be a musical trailer January 12th. Now, they did do a very good job advertising this as a musical, to be honest with you. It looks like they just rehashed the movie. And I totally forgot that this is supposed to be a musical because they didn't advertise that 1 ounce in this trailer.
It was very subtle, and I feel like I wouldn't have known if I didn't know. But what was weird
Exactly.
is it's Tina Fey and Tim Meadows, which I love both of them. I've loved both
Yeah.
of them, both when they both started on SNL. And I trust both of their comedy. I always think they're so like I remember Tim Meadows playing OJ Simpson in the
Tina Fey is an
90s on
executive
SNL.
producer for this, so I
Well,
trust her
she wrote
100%.
the first Mean Girls. I'm assuming she probably wrote this one, but it's not a sequel. It literally they're telling that's the
It's the
girl's
same
name's
story.
Caddy
Yeah.
again or Katie. Yeah, it's the
Regina
exact same
George.
story. Yeah, so that's weird. But I
Yeah.
also feel like, well, then I don't know. I hope like Rachel McAdams and people make cameos.
I hope so too. And I thought for sure we were getting something else, but then I remembered it's a musical. So we'll see what happens. Last bit of news that I personally have is that there was a trailer for Ghostbusters. And I'm pretty
Yes.
excited for that personally. It's got a Frozen theme to it. So it's Ghostbusters Day After Tomorrow meets Frozen almost. And the character, Bill Murray's back in it. Of course, Paul Rudd's back in it. I personally am excited. I loved Afterlife,
I
loved
thought it was really
Ghostbusters,
good. Way more
and
emotional than I thought it would
yeah,
be.
for real. Especially when they brought in Venkman, like
Shit.
it
That
was
was like Wakanda
good.
forever. Yeah.
And it's so I'm excited. It comes out March 24th. Can't wait for that movie. But that's all the news I have. What about you?
I don't have much at all. MegaCon announced a couple more people, so we're gonna get Princess Bride. We have Carrie Ules, never know how to say his last name, and Robin White. Really hoping they do a panel together. I, I mean, that's the only reason I would want them both there. I don't intend on going up to either of them. Obviously, she's done House of Cards since she's been in Wonder Woman, and we've seen him in other things too. But I would love to see them together and talk about it. I mean, that movie was played
Yeah.
on repeat when I was a kid. Doctor Who specials with Tennant. They've announced the names and the dates. So we're going to have the first one will be November 25th called Star Beast. Second, December 2nd called Wild Blue Yonder. And the third one is December 9th called The Giggle. And those will be the ones with David Tennant and Catherine Tate.
Yeah.
And The Boys season 4 will finally be coming out in 2024. Of course, there's no month, there's no date. It's just the
No,
year.
it's just gonna drop. Like, hey, guess what? The Boys comes out next week.
It's going to be like December 31st, 2024. It takes place 1 month after the Gen V Oh, I don't want to say
Sorry.
anything.
Yes, it went
I don't
place.
want to spoil,
Okay.
especially you haven't finished it.
No, 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 no. Okay. Well,
Oh, I see. Oh, I see. Okay.
yes.
It
So
takes place
essentially, it
one
takes
minute
place
after.
1 month after Gen V finishes, and where we left off, season
Okay.
3 of The Boys was when he shot and lasered.
So we're on the trial. Okay.
Yes, it's teasing his trial. Now the poster that they've posted for this teases like a almost an election type poster between
It.
her and Homelander. So it's interesting to see. Are we going to get some political action too?
Oh, I think we are too, especially with Bobby Singer.
Yeah,
I think we're
that's
going to
right.
see more of him because
President Homelander.
Newman. No, I don't think he'll run for president, but Newman is running for VP because she's now Bobby Singer's candidate. We saw that at
Yeah.
the end of The Boys.
Yeah, because Huey's
So
working in that office.
yeah, but also in the comic, Newman does become is the VP, but
Yeah.
she's a he and he's a complete dumbass. It's a very different character because obviously she's very strategic and intelligent. But yeah, I got nervous. I was about to spoil the Gen V for you, and you're the one typing into the document right now. So
Nope, you're good. You're good. I'll be caught up. But yeah, that's what we're getting. So watch them do it like January 1st, 2024. Now that
well,
the
Kripke
the
was
strike's
basically saying
over.
he was
That's ready
holding
to
it,
go.
yeah, holding it hostage. If the strike's really over, yeah,
Well, I
let's do
guarantee you
this.
that's why they just did 2024 is because Kripke was like, I'm not releasing this until the strike's over. Now the strike's kind of
Yeah.
over. So now I bet you we're gonna have a date really soon.
In Kripke we
I guess
trust.
we'll see, man. I don't know. Let's roll into our main topic now. We're gonna be
Okie
talking about
dokie.
Monica Rambeau. She's higher, further, faster than light. We'll be right back. Welcome back. Like I said, we're talking Monica Rambeau. We're going to talk some Photon, Lieutenant Trouble, Carol Danvers' best friend's daughter, whatever you want to call her.
His daughter.
Yes, her niece, if you will. And we first met Monica in the MCU in Captain Marvel as Lieutenant Trouble, of course, Carol's best friend's daughter, aka Maria's daughter, if you remember anything about that. We then saw her get snapped. And when she came back, she became part of Sword and WandaVision, where she was exposed to Wanda's hex. And that's how she got her powers. So why don't you go ahead and tell everybody where we first saw her in the comic books?
So I was actually surprised when I looked this up. So in the comics, we first saw her in Amazing Spider-Man Annual Number 16 in 1982. She was created by John Romita Jr. and Roger Stern, and she was originally called Captain Marvel, but she was the second Captain Marvel. So Captain Marvel was the first Captain Marvel, not to be confused with the other Captain Marvels or Shazam.
Get
Um,
original with your names. Come on, man.
we get it. Y'all are marvelous, and you're captains apparently. So in this issue, we see Monica was actually part of the New Orleans Harbor Patrol. And a side note, she eventually made her way up to lieutenant there. So I have to imagine this was a cute little nod in the movie to Lieutenant Trouble, which I love that crap. So back to the origin. So Monica met a nice, well-meaning professor whose technology got into the hands of some bad people. Roxxon comes into play here, which we've heard them mentioned all over the MCU, from Iron Man to Iron Fist to She-Hulk, Runaways, and more. We know they are bad. They're all over the comics as well. So Monica decides to help stop the evil guy, and in doing so, the professor's technology basically impacts Monica and gives her her powers. So she's trying to stop it, and it explodes. And so since they're in New Orleans, this one I thought was really funny. She kind of gets phased away or kind of teleports away and then makes her way back, but she's got to, change clothes. And because they're in New Orleans, she finds a warehouse of Mardi Gras clothes. So her first white costume, which is the cliche costume for her, even at Islands of Adventure, when you're in that area right across from the Spider-Man and Doctor Doom ride with all the characters up there, which I feel like they add those characters just so Disney can't use them. That's her picture there. So I just thought that was so funny. Okay, so and that is her true comic book outfit. So when Monica gets the powers and she teleports there, and then she goes back to try to help the professor, and she sees the professor getting shot, but she also sees a hole being shot in reality with another universe leaking into this one. And I think we're going to see some of that in the Marvels based on the Spotify commercial I heard at the beginning and then immediately turned off. So she was trying to stop and close the hole, but it actually sucked her in and she absorbs all this energy, but she still manages to save the day. She saves the professor and she beats up the bad guy. And the bad guy, of course, sounds like a raving lunatic and telling what happened and describing her. And the news then coins her Captain Marvel. So she didn't name herself.
What?
Apparently the news is just not very original.
Interesting.
So
Well,
yeah, tell us what the professor told her.
yes, this one little professor told her that she could do good as Captain Marvel, but she was worried she wouldn't be able to control it. So off to New York she went to find help. This is where she meets Spider-Man. Spider-Man? Spider-Man. Peter sees her getting off a bus in New York and his spidey senses begin to go off, so he decides to follow her and see why. He is also concerned she's going to get mugged, which
Because
of course
not
she
only did his
does.
spidey sense go off, his Peter tingle went off because he does mention she's an attractive woman. She could get mugged. That's more Peter tingle than
Uh-huh.
spidey sense.
And this came out in what year? 1982. Interesting. All right. Interesting. Anyways, yes, she gets mugged. However, there's actually more of like an attempt because before Spider-Man could take down the muggers, Monica handles it herself, knocks Spider-Man away, thinking that he was also a threat. And as Spider-Man is regaining his composure, he sees her blast off. Where to? The Baxter building, of course, which is where none other than Marvel's first family, the Fantastic Four, can actually be found. Hopefully, they can help her control her powers. While there, Thing tells her that she's not the first Captain Marvel, but however, it's all good, man. She can still use it because we just share names. There's
It's
no
like,
one has a
well, she was a
trademark.
good guy. He's like,
Yeah,
Carol will be fine with it. She's a good person. You're a good
you
person.
don't have the corner, the market corner as far as names goes. And then
I mean, who
after
does
yeah,
other than Cher? Well, no, because then you had Clueless,
Prince, I feel like
Madonna,
maybe he did. I don't know.
Prince. Well, I mean, there's actual people that are
Prince was a
princes,
symbol, but
but then he was a. Now I'm gonna start singing Eminem, but then he came back to being Prince.
huh. Well, whatever. Either way, after this, Monica goes to the Avengers because Reed and Susan are on vacation, taking a little time for themselves, which she fries all their systems, including Iron Man's suit. And in doing so,
She
Spider Man
didn't
thinks
mean
she's
to.
a bad guy. He follows her again, to which we get this iconic line: "Sorry, Toots, but I can move pretty fast too." As
In
he
the
hit
1982, really, guys, you're using Toots in 1982. That was the year ET came out.
women
Nobody was
didn't have
saying
rights yet,
Toots.
okay?
Oh my goodness. Yes, we did. This was after 1963.
Right,
We had,
women have rights.
we had
They're going away
reproductive
now.
rights, or 73. My bad.
This is when he hits her while Iron Man yells at him. After everybody's on the same page, they decide that they're going to help Monica with her unstable energy. Her powers then stay, and she learns to control them so she can stay on with the Avengers. Now, of course, Monica's first solo comic was when?
In 1989. So, Captain Marvel #1 by Dwayne McDuffie. The description of this is the avenging Monica Rambeau goes supersonic in her own high flying adventure. Re- Relive her past with Earth's mightiest and see her take down Powder Keg, Leviathan, and Moonstone. So over the years, she's gone, like we said before, many different names: Monica Rambeau, Captain Marvel, Photon, Pulsar, Daystar, and Spectrum. So these are the names and when she got them. She became Photon in Avengers Unplugged in #5 in 1996. This one's kind of funny. So, the son of the original Captain Marvel, Genis Vell, not Carol, publicly adopted the name Captain Marvel to honor his father's legacy. He caught Rambeau's attention because of this. After other stuff went on, Monica then agreed to let him keep the title of Captain Marvel, and that's when she became Photon, which is actually better and more relevant to her abilities. But this D bag comes back
I
and
feel
does
like
it
it just took
again.
them almost a decade, or well, more than that, to really come up with a name. Like, what should we name her? I don't know, man. We'll figure it out eventually. And
This
then
is
one
getting
day in
confusing.
1996, they're like, guys, I got it. What about Photon? And they're like, you know what? We've been thinking for
Mind
14 years
blown. I
now. Just run with it, run with it, run with it.
mean, she does run really fast.
He
She runs
does.
faster than the speed of light. So then she becomes Daystar in Avengers Volume 3, #2 in 1998. This was really just a one time thing because there was a reality manipulating situation, as happens in Scarlet Witch. When she got her powers back into play, she was able to fix it all. And then she was no longer Daystar. Then she became Pulsar in New Thunderbolts #9 in 2005. In this issue, basically the Avengers disassemble, and once again, Genis Vale takes Rambeau's alias without her consent. So he rebrands himself as Photon. Yeah. After a talk with him, she contemplated taking the alias Pulsar, but she never actually took it. She kept Photon. So this guy tried to take her name not once, but twice.
What the hell,
I,
man?
I don't know what this guy's problem is. Maybe it was just a nod to the previous comics since they were probably completely different stories.
I
I didn't
guess,
read
yeah.
these, I just did the research. And then she became Spectrum in Mighty Avengers Volume 2, #1 in 2013. So Monica wanted a rebrand of her image and she wanted to distance herself from stuff that had happened with the Next Wave Squad. So she became Spectrum. And basically, she was another vigilante in New York City. She arrested villains such as Blue Streak, which is kind of funny. I didn't even think about this when I was typing it. Blue Streak, or maybe it's Red Streak. Maybe
Blue
it's the
Streak's a
blur.
movie.
It's like, well, no, in Smallville, they start calling Superman like the blue streak, and then they call him like the blur, like
Oh,
before
yeah.
they, because that's all they see.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
Might have been the red because he would wear the red and blue colors throughout the
Right.
entire series. He's only in the spider and the Superman costume for the
He never
last
wears the suit
two,
until the very end. Yeah.
like the last 2 seconds. Yeah, and they gave him the Underoos one, which I was kind of disappointed in. I don't like the
I
Underoos,
think
guys.
it doesn't make sense to
It's
me
not
either.
sexy.
It makes no
It's not
sense.
sexy at all. Um,
Fighting
yeah.
crime isn't a sexy job, Lauren.
Well, I mean, come on. If it's like Henry Cavill or Tom, why am I blanking on his last
Welling.
name? Tom Welling. Yeah, it's a little bit sexy. Don't put them in underoos. Maybe underoos just aren't my thing. Like when I saw, was it Charlie Cox and
Simultaneously branding so he can get paid because it's a Hanes advertisement.
no, but then make them boxer briefs, guys. Like I don't know. Tidy whities don't do it
It's
for me.
weird.
So I did watch, the new Sex in the City, and Aiden comes back, and they have a scene where he's in his underwear and he's wearing fucking white tidy whities, and I'm like,
Gross.
really?
Gross.
Boxer briefs are where it's at, guys. I know you need some support too. Where did I go? Blue Streak. Okay. So around this period, she was approached by her former partner, Blade. However, before he could actually share his intentions with her, they noticed that the city was being attacked by Proxima Midnight, one of Thanos' lieutenants. The Mad Titan Thanos took advantage of the absence of the Avengers on Earth, and he launched an invasion. As a group of heroes formed by Spectrum, Blade, Luke Cage, and Spider Man, they all banded together to protect the people, and the mighty Avengers were born.
That's
So
right.
she has been around a lot.
She has. She was
I'm really
actually at
glad
one
she's
point
finally shown up.
leader of the Avengers because she actually at one point replaced the Wasp as leader of the Avengers. She commanded them in battles against the X-Men, Olympian gods, and the Super Adaptoid. She spends a lot of time refereeing squabbles between Hercules and the Submariner, dealing with a duplicitous telepath Dr. Druid who sought to supplant her as Avengers chairman and undermine her authority at every opportunity. And when honorary Avengers member and wife of the Submariner Marina transformed into the gigantic sea monster Leviathan, Captain Marvel, aka Photon, led the hunt for the creature. During the battle that followed, Rambeau transformed herself, and we already talked about that, of course. And at one point, after she retired from the team, Rambeau actually regained her first physical health and eventually her powers, initially developing the ability to manipulate mechanical energy for various effects and all sorts of other stuff. We went into all the powers and abilities, of course. So let's talk about some fun facts. All right. Over the years, her origin has changed a bit. Much like Miss Marvel, she's now a mutant. She could create light as a child, but hid it for fear of judgment and persecution for being a mutant. She was actually once the leader of the Avengers after Wasp retired. I talked about that already. Captain America was actually quick to nominate her as well. Take a drink every time I say the word actually. Black Knight seconded his nomination. Black Knight is Dane Whitman, who in the MCU is played by Kit Harington. Hopefully we'll see him again. I don't know. We'll see. She once became immortal and questioned her humanity. However, on a mission helping Vision, she became mortal again. They were fighting Nyx, the goddess of light, in a crossover, which we should really be doing again between these two properties. She fought Green Lantern in a Justice League crossover.
So I bought one of those crossover comics and I never read it. I need to read it and then send it to
We should
you.
be doing more of those. Like, bring it back, man. Do it. There's a lot of good
I feel like
stuff
there's just so much in each one. I feel like it'd just be like
it doesn't
such
matter.
a clusterfuck.
I'm sorry you hate fun.
I don't hate fun.
Give me 10 issues of fun, damn it.
10 issues of fun.
Monica had been a part of the Mighty Avengers, Sword, Next Wave, Avengers Ultimates. Her comic book character is modeled after Pam Grier. She was in Foxy Brown, Mars Attacks, and she's also Jackie Brown. If you don't know the name, you'll know the face. And here's your 4 degrees of Supernatural, Lauren. What is it?
So Pam Grier played someone's grandma in the show This Is Us, where Sterling K. Brown stars, and he played Gordon in Supernatural, the hunter turned vamp who wanted to kill Sam. I love him in Supernatural, and I hate him in Supernatural. He is actually doing one of the candlelight processionals at Epcot this year. It's actually pretty good lineup. They don't do anything necessarily particular to them. It's just when they sing the Christmas music and they have a celebrity guest narrator and they literally read from the Bible and they tell the story of Christmas with Gabriel the angel and all that stuff. It's actually really nice. Cool. I love going to it.
About none of that shit, but it's kind of cool.
But it's still Christmas, even if you're not religious. If you grew up with Christmas in that regard, it's right. Still really cool because they do a lot of hymnal like I love the religious Christmas songs because that's just it's nostalgic for me. That's what I grew up with, and I love it.
Jingle
It
bells
means
is my
Christmas.
shit.
Oh, I don't
I know
love Jingle
it's
Bells.
not.
There's if any Supernatural fans, if you look up Jason Mann's Christmas, there's actually a lot of Christmas songs that are sung by the Supernatural cast. Jared doesn't sing great. Misha Collins is all right, but Jensen Ackles gets in there and he throws in a line about having an ice cold beer and like have a holly jolly
On
Christmas or
Friday
something.
night.
Pair of jeans a fit just
Oh
right.
God.
That's Zach Brown band.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's
So Sterling K. Brown's hosting one. Simu Liu's doing it one night.
Oh what? That's cool.
I know. And everybody just wants to go the night Joey McIntyre is doing it. So we made
Why?
reservations because I don't know. That's the night Ian
What?
wanted to go, was the night Joey McIntyre's
What?
going.
Ian,
I'm
dude.
more a Jordan Knight girl, so I'd
What?
honestly rather see
You have
Simu Liu.
Ian's a Supernatural fan and he's passing up Sterling Brown for
You don't know
Joey
Ian.
McIntyre.
Ian was very upset today. He hasn't gotten Taylor Swift tickets yet.
I'm pretty upset. I was looking at Miami and they're $1,000, which nobody can afford that.
Well, someone is. Or
Not
at least
me.
they're putting it on credit cards. If you're
True.
going in South Florida, I know a great bankruptcy firm for after you buy the tickets.
Let's wrap up powers. She can transform her body into electromagnetic energy. Release this energy. She can travel at the speed of light so fast. Travel through lines of communication. She can change the mass of her body. Control light waves, energy waves, cosmic rays, gamma radiation, all things that have to do with light, energy, and all of that good stuff. She can actually fly. She can phase through things. She can go invisible. She can change her size. And last but certainly not least, she can create holograms. She's wicked powerful. I'm really excited to see how they do her in the MCU because they haven't really showcased her powers or abilities yet.
No, it was just for a brief moment at the end of
Yeah, like
WandaVision.
2 seconds in WandaVision. So of course she's learning her powers still, but they haven't done anything with them yet. So I'm excited where this goes.
Me too.
And that is your deep dive into Monica Rambeau. Next week, it looks like we're going to be able to review the Marvels and Loki season 2. We're back in action. The boys are back in town.
Anybody who's been watching on YouTube, if you keep seeing me duck down, I'm putting stickers all over my table. So I have a
I've
pile
literally
of
been watching you just like arts and crafts this entire episode, and I'm just like, okay, she's doing something.
just, yeah, every time Matt's talking, I just mute it and I'm putting all these
I'm
stickers on
just
my
watching you
table.
just like pop, 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 pop. And I'm just like, okay, I'm
It'll
just gonna
it'll
carry
help
on.
me take better beer pictures for the
Listen, we're
future.
just about to be on episode 200, so like nothing phases anymore. Whatever's happening on the other side, we've seen each other yell
Yelling
at
at
our
each other's
kids.
children. But now we
We've
both have
seen
rooms. We can close
bills.
doors.
Yes, we've seen the whole gambit go down. So nothing. I don't care. I was just like, all right, arts and
Caught me
crafts
painting my
selling.
nails once.
Yeah, like I'm sorry, am I boring you?
That was on a live show too. You're like, "Are you painting your nails?" I'm like, "Oh, you can see me."
Yes, yes, we can. I've been reading stuff. I've watched sports while we recorded.
Oh yeah, I see you get angry.
We're having fun. We're having fun. Like I said, we're gonna be doing a Christmas special. We're gonna be thinking through that, what that's gonna look like.
Yes, we need to plan something out. I don't know what it's.
Episode 200 is gonna be a comic book draft of the comics that have come out in 2023, and we've got a lot of other good episodes, especially now that we can start talking about things again. It's gonna be fun. Thanks for
And then we need to
around.
get to season 8 so we can have.
That's right. Our friend
The
Ryan
special
Curtis is
effects
going to be
back.
coming on, who
Yeah.
did special effects for season 8 of Supernatural, which I'm halfway through right now.
So crazy. You're only halfway through.
I haven't had any time to watch anything since, and I gotta watch stuff before Christmas season rolls around because it is Hallmark movies for days.
Oh yeah, and I gotta see what Hallmark movies Teresa wrote, so I'll watch one.
You let me know. We're doing it for the cause. We're gonna live.
Oh
stream
no, this is gonna be rough.
We're gonna live stream us get drinking, watching Hallmark Christmas movies because 'tis this season. That's our Christmas.
I'm gonna need a barrel aged beer for that one.
I got bottles and bottles in the freezer or fridge. I've been waiting. They're like aged years. You know, I got a couple that you've sent me, but
it's gonna be a barrel age and Pedialyte night.
It's gonna be great. Thanks for hanging out, everybody. We'll tune in next time. We'll see you. Be there, or we'll see you another time.
Or be square.
Cheers.